Hello, Callum. How are you this week? You all good?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, mate. How are you? Welcome to the Second City podcast again.
Yes, I'm good, thank you, and welcome back, everyone. Yeah, episode 22 this week. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. All's well. Obviously the Mowbray era is underway now, fully. And yeah, I'm not too bad at all. Taking it easy, really. But yeah, not bad at all.
I made my long-awaited return to footballing action myself this week, Dan.
Oh, really? Oh, really? How so? In
I
goal?
no, I came out of retirement to play five-a-side for the first time in about, I think the last time I played five-a-side was in Doha at the World Cup. And so it was quite a while
Not.
ago.
You weren't like in the World Cup. You weren't
No,
like at the World Cup. You were in Qatar for the World Cup. But
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Gosh, yeah, I don't even know. I do a lot of running, but I couldn't tell you the last time I actually played football. It's been a long time. Like,
Yeah. The ball got hit out of the court, like the pitch court thing after about 10 minutes. And I had to lie down on the pitch to get my breath back. I was absolutely knackered.
sure.
Someone came over to me going, "Oh my God, are you injured?" I was like, "No, I'm just really unfit."
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine. But yeah, football wise, obviously a few games this week. To chat about Blues, as I say, we're back in action with Mowbray and Villa. Were away at Everton yesterday.
Yep.
Um, So yeah, we'll get onto all that very soon. Look back on the games that have just been, and then we'll get on to some housekeeping stuff. Got a few things going on with the clubs, Blues and Villa, um, outside of the matches themselves. Um, but of course, we'll start where we always do with what we're wearing. I'm sure you know the score by now, how it all works. So yeah, do you want to go first or second, Cal, this week?
I think you'll have a better time guessing than I will because I ain't got a clue about yours. So I need the extra
Sure,
thinking time. So you
sure,
you can guess first this week, Dan, because
sure. I think it's quite easy because so it's a white.
yeah, this is a
L-
nice sponsorless edition of a
Oh,
white
well,
Luke Roper shirt.
that's a trend because I don't have a sponsor either this week. Um, so it's a Luke kit, which I think makes it really easy because I think you only had them for one season.
Yep.
The year you got promoted, I think.
Yep.
So I think that was 2018, 19.
It is indeed.
And I think it's your away kit for that season.
And it is the away kit because I've already won the third kit from this season
Yeah.
on the perfect hat trick of hotels, which was that really gorgeous purple one, which comes into like a V shape in the middle of the chest. But this one's really nice. This is for a shirt that doesn't actually have a lot going on. I feel like it's very clean, very classy. And obviously the sponsor on the shirt was in claret as well, which matched the neck and cuffs. Um, But yeah, I don't think I saw us wear the away kit in person, but we had some very good results in it. Middlesbrough is one that comes to mind where went away to Borough and won 3-0 and Glenn Whelan scored for it was like first goal in like 7 years or something, maybe even his second. So that one really springs to mind. The team that we had, you know, back then, the likes of Tammy Abraham, Jack Grealish, John McGinn, Anwar El Ghazi. But I was thinking of wearing this shirt because my very first away day was this season, and so the away shirt away day. Um, my first two away days were both in this season at the back end. The second of which was at Brentford, where I went to Griffin Park in the away end, and we lost 1-0. Neil Mopay scored a 90th minute winner. An awful game.
I remember you ranting about this at the time. That was pretty funny.
Dreadful.
Because this was kind of
Awful.
right before you went on that big run, and it looked like,
Yeah.
like you were kind of really seriously tailing away from any hopes of promotion.
Yeah, because I went to the game with a guy who I knew at work. So he's a Brentford fan because I work near Brentford. And so he was in the home end, I was in the away end, and we were at the pub before the game. I saw him at the end of the match. And I walked up to him and was like, "Well, you've just killed any hope we had a promotion. We ain't going up from here." So little did I know. But yeah, it was just a game where we were dreadful. Could just nothing got going. I think that we only really had one chance where Conor Hurahan had a bit of a half chance in the second half and blazed it wide into the crowd. Um, but the other away day I did, which was my first away day, was away at Reading. So I thought it was quite poignant with what's going on with them at the moment, which was an awful away day as well. It was freezing cold. It was about February. And we drew 0-0. It was the only 0-0 we had that season. So there's a 0-0 theme running into this as well.
Yes, of
Um,
course. Yeah.
but yeah, that was the first time I heard the LA chant as well. That started breaking out for us that season in the run up to the promotion. So yeah, that's my kit this week. The white away shirt from 1819.
Nice, very well. Nice for Villa, I suppose. I always say that. I always go, "Oh, nice," and then I realize, no, I can't say that about a Villa shirt. You
Well,
know what I mean?
I can always appreciate a good shirt.
I,
Like
I can appreciate
the
I
one
can
you wore in our
appreciate a
very
story
first
behind a shirt.
episode. Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah,
your home shirt that you wore in the very first episode of this podcast, which had the sash on it,
yeah, I love that kit.
15,
Yeah,
16. I think that's an amazing shirt.
yeah. Oh no, I completely agree. Yeah, cool.
This one, oof,
Yeah. So for those listening, it's a sponsorless, blue and
E-
black striped
X-Tep.
shirt, X-Tep. Yeah,
I genuinely have never seen this shirt in my life.
and there's a
Like
very good reason for
yeah,
that.
it's probably because you never wore it.
That
Um,
may be the case.
so let me think. So I think you said before that you only had X-Tep for 2 seasons,
I think that's right. Yeah.
which were around the time Carson Young would have taken over. One of those seasons was 10-11 because you won the cup in an X-Tep shirt.
We did.
I don't think it was that season. So we'll go for the season afterwards, which would have been 11-12, and I guess it would have been away slash third, maybe.
Wow, very impressive powers of deduction. Yeah, this is our 11-12 away kit. And the reason you probably don't recognize it is because we never wore it. As
Yeah.
far as I'm aware, we never wore this in a game, in a competitive game, as far as I'm aware. Um, Not really surprising, a blue and black kit when our home kit is blue, and we had a third, our European, so we were in Europe this season. So we had a yellow third away kit, and so we just wore that all the time. Um, but yeah, so first of all, shout out to cousin James of the Glennon clan for loaning me this shirt. He's loaned me a few, which you'll see on the podcast here and there. So big shout out for that. Really appreciate it. Um, and yeah, I thought it'd be a good one to get on though. First of all, it's yeah, sponsorless. So this kit, they initially announced we wouldn't have a sponsor this season, so we've just been relegated under Alex McLeish. I actually wore the home shirt for this season, like probably a month, 6 weeks ago. And yeah, we've just been relegated, and the club originally announced that we weren't going to have a sponsor on the shirt, and it was going to be like a, different sort of match day sponsor each week, and they wouldn't be on the kit as such. But then they reversed that decision and later put um, rational effects, whatever they were, on the kit instead. But this is obviously so this may be a slightly rarer one considering we never wore it and it doesn't have a sponsor on it. Um,
I was going to say that must be worth a few quid on eBay or Vinted these days.
and technically it's not mine, so I can't cash in on it. But well, it's not mine. There's no technically about it. But yeah, yeah, this season though. So yeah, this was 2011-12. So this is our away kit. As I say, we're in Europe this year. I can't talk about any specific games we wore this kit in, obviously, but great season. So we obviously had the European tour this year where we just missed out on getting through the group stage. I think we got like 10 points. We were really unlucky not to get through. And it may just be coincidence, but obviously we played Club Bruges in the group stage and we famously beat them away and then drew them at home. And the clubs had quite a nice rapport going, like it was almost like a friendly rivalry, it felt like. And obviously it's quite Club Bruges style, don't you think?
Yeah.
Like the kit. So I don't know if that's just coincidence, but quite a nice tribute, like even if it is by accident. Um, and then in the league we finished fourth, had quite a slow start under Chris Hughton and then but then in the new year really kicked up a gear and like our new signings that came in like um Chris Burke, Wade Elliott, I remember came in this year. I think Boaz Myhill was in goal this year, and then just Stephen Caldwell, and then players like Curtis Davis, Zigic, players who, as we dropped down into the championship, really like stepped up. Um, and I think we went on like a mad run in the new year where we beat like Leeds 6-0, we beat no, sorry, we beat Leeds 4-1 away, and we beat Millwall 6-0, that's right, in the same week. We had a good FA Cup run, that was nice. And I feel like we were just a player or two short of like getting over the line into promotion. We got knocked out by Blackpool in the playoffs, which is a real shame because I think we were better than them, to be honest. But ironically, we'd sold a couple of players to them, like Barry Ferguson and Kevin Phillips, and them kind of players were kind of the difference in the end. Um, but yeah, a lot of great memories. I remember like that we went on like a mad, like in the new year, like a 15-16 game unbeaten run that was absolutely outrageous and just felt absolutely unplayable. One of my, even though we didn't get promoted, one of my favorite seasons as a Blues fan. Um, so yeah, 11-12 away shirt. This one is.
Might be controversial opinion, or might not be at all, but being sometimes it's worth getting relegated to have a season where all of a sudden you start winning games of football.
Mm,
Like, especially because I remember when we had a few those like 4 or 5 years where we were staying up by the skin of our teeth every year, not even winning 10 games of competitive football in a league season. And then obviously we went down, and all of a sudden we were, apart from that first season, we had 2 seasons where we got into the playoffs where you're going into games expecting to win or get good results, and you're one of the better teams in the division. Sometimes, it's better than just scrapping at the bottom for year after year after year.
oh, 100%. And you look at like you think of some teams now in the Premier League, like your Crystal Palaces and all that, and like what are you actually like doing there
Yeah.
year after year? Like I don't know, easy to say from the
Yeah, yeah.
outside, I suppose.
Because not everyone
Or
does
like
come back.
no, true, yeah, and like you like or like a Southampton that just lingered in the Premier League for a long time. You know, clubs like that. Not to say they don't deserve to be there, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, 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 absolutely.
Cool. Should we move on then to the games that have passed us by this week?
Yes, we're going to try a slightly different format for how we rattle through the matches this week. So, do you want to go first? Because obviously Blues did play first this game
Yeah,
week. And
sure.
obviously it
Yeah,
was the battle of the new manager bounce. And well, I almost said last week, well, it's almost certainly going to be a draw because the new manager bounce will like equal out. And well, that happened.
yeah, pretty
Just.
much. Obviously, we had so Tony Mowbray took charge of his first game at Blues, and then Luke Williams took charge of his first game at Swansea. First of all, probably just the best game of football I've seen in like a couple of months at Blues, apart from maybe that Leicester game. That was really good actually. But no, just a good game for the most part, I thought. Maybe I'm just comparing that to like the Rooney era that's just gone. But yeah, 2-2 draw against Swansea. And first off, I thought we were really good, and then created some not really good, but we were good. We were better. Created some good chances, but then gave a silly goal away at a set piece with a free header. Got back into it with the Dembele goal. Um, then went 2-1 down again, but showed a lot of character to get a late equaliser. And the second half, I thought Swansea were, in my opinion, were the better team and definitely had the better chances. And when they get the ball down and play, I actually think Swansea look pretty good. And I think with this new manager, Bounce, I can imagine them climbing up the league sooner rather than later. But yeah, Jordan James, man, with a late goal, a bit of a scorcher from long range as well. Could be huge, man. Just brings some positive energy, keeps it like gets the Mowbray era off to a positive start. So that's really nice to see. Um, but yeah, so we said we'd sort of try and break it down into like um so player of the match, sort of man of the match, a general score out of 10, I think we were saying for the team.
Or a grade, I think we were going to do.
A grade, okay, so like on a scale of like A to F.
Yeah.
And then
I guess a U is possible, I suppose.
I guess, yeah, yeah. And then we were gonna do a
3 word match
three-word
review.
review. Yeah, which I think is quite cool. Um Player of the match is kind of tough, but because I felt like collectively it was a better team effort. So I wouldn't necessarily say he was the best player, but notable inclusion that I think is very interesting, and therefore my pick for this would be Hogan. So Rooney really did not seem interested in Hogan at all, and I am not saying Scott Hogan needs to start every game from now on. I'm not saying this, but like because he frustrates me as much as most people, I'd imagine. But I thought he played well on Saturday. His closing down was excellent. He got an assist for the first goal, and I thought he did a really good job for the team. Um, which so I appreciate that, and I thought it was good to see him back in the team. And I can imagine Mowbray could be the man to get a tune out of him. And just on a side note, it's great to see Mowbray. Like I'd imagine a player like Hogan, he could be really good for. Like Mowbray's come in with so much positive energy. I've loved his press conferences and his interviews, the way he talks. He talks like a fan. You know, in his opening press conference, he talked about why he loves the FA Cup and like his memories watching the FA Cup final with his family and like, his dad and his uncles and all that. And I really loved that. Talked about like his, first color TV, watching like 1970s Brazil. He clearly loves the game and he talks like a fan. And I think he's going to be really popular amongst Blues fans if results obviously match it. Um, but yeah, I think someone like him could be really good for Hogan. So he was kind of my standout for this week. Um,
Did he start?
and then yeah, he did. Yeah, he got subbed off, but yeah, again, I'm not saying like he's still only scored one league goal all season, but like um, I think he deserves a mention. Um, grade, I'm gonna give it a B, just a solid B on a scale of A plus to U. I guess would be like a scale. I'm gonna give it a B. It wasn't exceptional, but it was just a bit more solid. I didn't think the late goal was gonna come, but we did get it, and it's just a solid start. Not exceptional, but something to build on. Got the whole game as we're recording tomorrow night, and then an away game at Stoke, and it just gives us a building block and a foundation. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a B. And then my three-word review is little. I'm gonna say, uh, good first step.
Nice.
Yeah, that's my match review.
You have to really think about
I know, yeah, not.
that one.
I'll try and come up with more exciting three-word reviews, but I think that's kind of how this game's summed up. It's not. It wasn't like, you know, I don't know. It wasn't. It was a good first step. Yeah, that's how I'd sum it up.
I don't think either of the matches this week were classics on the eyeballs.
No. Like, don't get me wrong. It was a good game in that it was like there was at least chances. I'm probably just comparing it to that Bristol City game that we had between Christmas and New Year, which was like genuinely maybe the worst game I've ever seen in my life. Um, but yeah, so I'm maybe just comparing it to that. The team just looked a bit more up for it and had a bit more energy about them. Night and day to what we saw at the tail end of 2023. So yeah, that's my kind of thoughts on that game. How about you then? Villa obviously played Everton away at Goodison Park this week.
Yeah, so we had we were away at Goodison, which has I think I said last week, it's been a really happy hunting ground for us. We haven't lost to Everton in the league since we got promoted. Obviously, annoyingly, we did lose that. We lost in the cup earlier on in the year, but yeah, it wasn't a bad performance, and it's what makes the result a bit disappointing. We just lacked a bit of creativity. We really didn't test Jordan Pickford enough. Um, But if there was a team that we dominated the game, and if there was a team that was going to win it, it was probably going to be us. But we just didn't have that sort of that one moment really to get that went our way. Obviously, we had the disallowed goal, so um, frustrating. But a clean sheet, I'll take a clean sheet any day of the week. And we've been saying all season, draw your aways, win your homes. So it's frustrating because they're near the bottom of the league, but it's a point gained, I suppose. Um, Player of the match, I was dicing between two. I'll give it to Boubacar Kamara because I thought he was outstanding in the middle of the park. He was absolutely brilliant, and he really showed in this game what we'd really missed against Burnley and against Man United in particular, and against Sheffield United as well. But the Man United game really stands out where we just completely fell apart in that second half, and he was instrumental in that by not being on the pitch because of his suspension. But the guy who narrowly misses out on my player of the match would be Clement Longley. I thought he was really solid. Not didn't do anything special, but I just thought he had a really good game. And um, when we do badly miss Pau Torres, but Clement Longley's been a more than worthy replacement, and he's a player that I was a bit skeptical of when we signed him, but all he's done is prove me wrong when he's played. But we'll give it to Boubacar Kamara. Um, Grade the performance. It's probably a C grade. If we'd have found the winner, then it might have it would have gone higher. But we weren't terrible, and we dominated the game. So it's and I don't want to be too drastic and going, it's a disaster. We didn't win, and it's all falling apart. And it is a missed opportunity, but we didn't play that badly. It just didn't go our way. So the 3-word match review will be, uh, oh, I was laughing at you, and then
Harder
it's
than
gonna go to.
yeah.
It is
Yeah.
harder. Um, Frustrating away day, I think we'll go with. Away days
Like
2 words, right?
yeah, of course it is. Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's perfect. Yeah. I think people forget as well. Like I know Everton have been on a slight downward curve recently, but they have played like good teams, like the stronger teams in the league. So I personally don't think you can look into it too much.
yeah, and I thought the
Um,
atmosphere at Goodison was very, very toxic.
mm,
Most because those fans are very frustrated with what's been happening on and off the pitch. Obviously, they're not very good. They're having a decent season. If you take the points deduction away, they'd be about 12th. But the last couple of years, they've been dreadful, and they're still not great now. It's just that there's a lot of crap teams in the Premier League at the moment. Um, but also they're very frustrated with the points deduction. They're probably going to get another one. But it's like every decision the referee gave to Aston Villa on Saturday, the crowd were booing, they were standing up, they're waving these PL corrupt pamphlets that they've got in the crowd. So the referee, even if it was like a stonewall foul to Villa, this was happening. Like the referee couldn't give anything against them without them getting riled up. And so it looked like a very difficult atmosphere to play in. I mean, I can understand why they've struggled at home because it's just a very frustrated home atmosphere. But we just could, and I think if the goal had stood, I mean, it was rightly chalked off, but they made a mess of making the decision. Shock. Um, if that had stood, I think we would have comfortably won the game. We probably would have gone and won like 2 or 3-0, really, because I think they'd have just collapsed in that atmosphere. And it's why I think they've struggled at home. Is as soon as they've gone a goal down, that home atmosphere has had a negative impact on them.
yeah,
Um, but it is what it is. We'll see if they get another points deduction because them and Forest are in a lot of trouble by the sounds of things.
yeah. Just today, yeah, that news broke. It'll be very interesting to keep an eye on. Um, but yeah, are you concerned about like the next couple, how this may affect you in the next couple of games, or do you think it's just like, one of them?
I'll take it because it was an away clean sheet. I mean, clean sheets in general have been very hard to come by for us, and away from gone. I genuinely couldn't tell you the last time we had an away clean sheet in the league. So I'll take it. I will take it. We are probably 1 or 2 short, and that's just because of the injuries. But Jacob Ramsey not in the squad, so he's injured again. Still missing Pau Torres. Yuri Tielemans was back, which was promising. So hopefully he can get back up to speed. So we've got the winter break next week. So, and then we've got the FA Cup. So we're not in the league action for just over 2 weeks. So hopefully we can get a couple of players back and we might have 1 or 2 additions. Basically, our next Premier League game is right at the end of the window. So if we do any business, not that I'm really expecting us to do much, it'll probably be 1 in, 1 out. And I don't expect any more than 2 players if we do sign anyone. Um, then they might be in the squad by the time the end of the season rolls around. End of the transfer window rolls around. Right, so shall we jump into some housekeeping, Dan? I've got a few bits and pieces to get through.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, so let's do it. Absolutely.
Should we start from so rumor mill is that the new badge is going to be revealed at some point this week. It may have already been revealed by the time this podcast goes out. Looks set to be that shield badge. Lots of revisionism going on Twitter. I still think it looks rubbish, but we'll see how that goes. Um, Chris Heck did an interview in the Times in the last couple of days. So he's revealed in that we've been filming a behind the scenes documentary. It's by the sounds of things, it's an in-house one that they're going to try and sell to an Amazon or a Netflix. So it's not necessarily going to be an Amazon all or nothing or a Netflix like behind the scenes thing, but it might appear on there if they sell it to them. And someone will take a punt on it, you'd think, especially if we do either win the Conference League or qualify for the Champions League, or even then have some dramatic collapse through the league where we finish in the bottom half, because I think there's going to be a story to tell somewhere in there. So keep an eye on that in the next, I don't know, 6 to 12 months, if that actually becomes a real thing. But the big news that was reported in everywhere other than that's officially come out of the club, and the club won't announce it until probably the summer, which is we're getting Adidas kits next year, Dan.
Yeah,
I am
I did hear
so
about this.
buzzing.
Yeah, I did hear about this.
So there was a long held rumor that we couldn't have Adidas kits because one of our co-owners, Nassif Sawiris, is like a 6% stakeholder in Adidas. And it was never really confirmed, but the long term rumor had been the reason we'd gone to Kappa and then Castor was because there was a conflict of interest. So clearly that's not the case. Um, but yeah, really, really excited. By the sounds of things, the price of the shirts should come down by about £10 or so next year. But with the rate of inflation, they'll probably stay the same. Um, but yeah, really, really excited. I hope we don't get a template, but then the Adidas templates aren't that bad anyway. So I'm
I've
pretty
got
buzzing. Yeah.
for those watching, I've got two behind me right here. Um, and they're like Adidas are my favorite kit makers we've had at Blues. I thought they were awesome. I bought almost all their kits. I thought they were great.
Look at that. Adidas and Nike for the second set. It's not bad going, really.
No, no, yeah, no. Um,
Uh, but yeah, that's all I had for housekeeping.
cool.
So there's gonna be a nice extra shirts for next season's podcasts in the
Yeah,
works for me,
sure.
clearly.
Yeah,
But what about
absolutely.
you, Dan? You got some housekeeping, I think.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, first of all, very quickly, there's been a few. Obviously, I've been singing the praises of Jordan James on here. There's a few stories going around just on social media and stuff that apparently Atalanta are after him. And apparently that's kind of apparently it's a fee. The fee is the issue. Apparently, not so much the player's decision. Apparently, it's the fee. So the rumor going around was that they'd agreed a fee of I think it's 4.5 million euros. Um, but obviously, Jordan James just like he scored again a huge goal at the weekend. He's genuinely just improving week by week. So Mowbray sounds quite keen to keep him as well and possibly build the team around him, at least to an extent. So keep an eye on that. I have a feeling we may try and keep a hold of him just because he is so instrumental to us at the minute. And I feel like for 4.5 million, I personally think in today's
It's
market,
just not worth it, is it?
no, not at all. Obviously Mowbray talked very sensibly about how every player does have a price, but he'd like to keep his best players. So yeah, keep an eye on that one. Um,
The only thing I would add on to that is he's come through the academy, I'm right in saying, so he would be
he has,
pure
yeah,
profit in FFP terms.
true.
So it's a bit different to maybe signing a player for like 3 million and selling him for 4. So the pure profit element to it means that these academy players can be worth so much more just in making the books look more balanced than they kind of are.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, completely. And it's easy for us here to say as well, like don't sell them, don't sell them. But like we don't really understand. Like obviously we're not parlay or is that a fancy word? We're not we're not parlay. We're not, you know what I mean? We're not like we're not told. We don't know the ins and outs of FFP going on at the club.
I'm just thinking of
Otherwise,
that Jack Sparrow clip where he's like, parsnip, parsley,
that's what I was like. I don't know where that came from, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Other news: John O'Shea has left, so following Rooney out the door. Sounds like I don't doesn't sound like he was sacked or anything. It sounds like the club statement, thanked him and said it sounded more like it was his decision to move on or mutual consent or something like that. Um, I can only assume that he was probably a Rooney appointment. Obviously, they played together for years at Man United, so Rooney was probably involved in bringing him in, and they probably just decided this new setup isn't for them. Um, and they're going to move on, probably pursue other things. Interestingly, Ashley Cole is still at the club though, which is I thought they would both go as soon as Rooney went as well, but um, Ashley Cole's sticking around. Looks like he'll be sticking around. Um, but yes, John O'Shea has gone. Was at the club for not even 3 months, I don't think so, or just over maybe. So yeah, not a great spell for him, sadly.
Yeah. And going back to money as well, what where the hell's that come
Oh,
from?
I've seen it do this. Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, it does that.
anyway, obviously the club's sacked Eustace, they've sacked Rooney, um, that John O'Shea has either been sacked or walked. Anyway, obviously the paid a lot of money in a turnover of coaching staff, so I would imagine that if they can keep them and squeeze them into the setup that is works for everyone, where they're contributing and justifying the money they've paid to get them and pay them. I'd imagine something in there than paying another member of staff to get lost.
Yeah, very true. That's very, very true. Um, and then yeah, last thing, but in my opinion, the most interesting, in my opinion, the club have announced, put a headline out this week. Birmingham City partners with Oakview Group Europe Limited. So you hear a headline like that, and like, okay, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like, okay,
Yeah.
whatever. It's just another sponsorship thing. But you actually do some digging into it, and it actually is pretty exciting, in my opinion. So the statement starts with Birmingham City Football Club is pleased to announce it has entered into a multi-year partnership with leading global sports and entertainment venue Oak View Group Europe Limited. So, under the terms of the agreement, OVG will work with the club to develop a long-term strategy to maximise the commercial value of St Andrews and the club's training grounds, create a new commercial framework for future infrastructure projects that the club's owner, Knighthead Capital Management Limited, is committed to delivering, and be responsible for driving additional relationships with global partners. Um, so, uh, did a bit of research into it. Sounds like it could all just be, kind of bigging something up, but OVG, it turns out, are like serious players in like the development of major venues. So obviously it's all still like rumor and stuff at this point, but the expectation seems to be that these new owners of Blues eventually are going to want us to move stadium, and that's not a huge shock because obviously St Andrews has been around for a long time and has seen much better days, although it is looking a lot better now than it was a year ago. Um, but OVG are currently building. In fact, I believe it's built and opening very soon. Um, a venue in Manchester called Co-op Live, which is going to be. I don't know if you've heard about it.
Yes, the Killers are playing there
Yeah,
next
so I was
year.
just reading that. So they're opening the UK leg of their 20th anniversary tour there, and then several other bands are playing there. So it's going to be basically the headline venue for concerts in the UK, and it's going to be the biggest venue of its kind in the UK and the biggest venue outside of the United States for these kind of things. So it's going to be a huge. These got like, and this group are responsible for building. Are one of the major players in building that venue. So it's very exciting that Blues are partnering with them. And if these rumors about a new stadium are true, they could be very exciting people to be working with. You have no idea what a new stadium in the heart of Birmingham could look like. It could be obviously with someone like Tom Brady involved, who knows, could be used for things like bringing the NFL to Birmingham or anything like that. A major new gigs venue in the heart of town could be really exciting because, like, don't get me wrong, I like going to the Rico Arena for a gig, but it's kind of mental that no stadium in
Mm.
Birmingham is deemed fit enough for it. Um, so yeah, one to keep an eye on in the long term. Yeah, who knows? Could be really interesting.
It's a good point there you make about the NFL because as much as I wouldn't want them to do it, I don't think Villa Park would suit an NFL game
No,
really anyway. So
no, I
yeah,
agree.
that's
No, I mean,
that's interesting though.
yeah, something to keep an eye on. It's big, yeah, quite big news. People seem quite excited about it on social media. So yeah, keep tabs on that.
Wonderful stuff. Um, Next week's games, we haven't got one, so go to town.
Cool.
You got two.
Yeah,
Go to town.
yeah, we got two. Yeah, I feel like the pod may be slightly more Blues leaning next week, seeing as Villa haven't got a game. Um, yeah, because you're on your winter break, aren't you? In
Yes.
the Premier League. But yeah, so we're recording on Monday, so we got Hull tomorrow night. Not gonna obviously spend too long on it because by the time most people are listening to it, the game's probably happened, or very soon to happen. Um, I reckon there'll be a couple of changes, but nothing too major. I would probably keep kind of the more defensive side of the team mostly the same, and then could maybe mix up the forward line a little bit more. I'd kind of just try to let's build that solid foundation. I'd maybe keep Sanderson along in just to help them re-establish that partnership a bit more again. But then we've got Stoke away at the weekend.
Which
So
is it's mad that you're playing them again already.
I know, yeah, we're going to play them on
Christmas
Boxing
Eve,
Day.
Boxing Day.
Is yeah, Boxing Day. Um, So yeah, and they absolutely demolished us. But it'd be a really interesting comparison now because that was kind of like our worst under Rooney, I'd argue. If we can get a win against Hull, um, if we can then go to Stoke and build on it, I think it would show the difference that just a positive mindset can do to players. But we say on this all the time, draw your away games, win your home games. So I think a point would be absolutely terrific. I did go to Stoke away last season though. We won. Was that last season? Yeah, it was last season. We
Yeah.
won 2-1. Ah, that's brilliant. Yeah, Harley Dean, Scott Hogan scoring, absolutely fantastic. Um, but I thought they looked really good the other week when they played us under the new manager. Um, obviously he's had a few more games now to kind of implement his philosophy and stuff. But yeah, I'll take a draw. I think a score draw, kind of similar to what we had against Swansea, probably be on the cards, to be honest.
Lovely stuff. I
Yeah,
think that pretty much wraps us up this week, doesn't it?
yeah, yeah. I think that's that.
Yeah, so if you're watching, listening, make sure you subscribe on whatever platform you're looking at or listening to us at. 5-star reviews if you're listening to us on audio, Spotify or Apple or Google, whatever. If you're watching us on YouTube, please do leave a like, drop us a comment. Who's got the better shirt this week? Sponsorless edition.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
but yeah, and you can find us everywhere with the handle at Second City Pod.
yeah. That's at Second City Pod, so 2ND City Pod.
And that's across Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok as well. We've got quite a few shorts and TikToks out there, so go check them out.
Yeah, check out Clinton Morrison's Christmas message for Callum on TikTok and YouTube. It's on YouTube as well now. You can watch it as well.
Yeah, if you
A
missed that
special
last
Christmas
week.
wish for Callum. Yeah, he picked up the podcast as well. So thank you, Clinton, again. Really appreciate that. But yeah,
And also, if you are new to the Second City podcast, and we have had an influx of new viewers in the last uh, month or so, pretty much since the turn of the year. Earlier on, we did 3 special podcasts, and we'll be doing another one in a couple of weeks. We did one on Alex McLeish, one on Emil Heskey, and one on Hotter. They're sort of timeless pieces, so go back in time, check them out, and because they're fun. They're telling the story of influential, controversial figures that were on both sides of the Second City. So yeah, go check them out.
yeah, 100%. Awesome, Cal. See you next time then, and take it easy.
Yeah, Dan, until next week, see you later and up the villa.
Shit on the villa. Keep right on. See you next week.